Welcome to Vigilante Stadium in Helena, a place that will be quite active over the next few days and weeks as the Montana Class AA State Football Playoffs take center stage. Hello, I'm Mark Vincent along with Amber Kuhn of the Independent Record. We're here at Vigilante, and Amber, it's been such an amazing season, so much balance, so much parity throughout the state, and now the playoffs are here.
Yeah, it's been a great year. I'm so excited to see how all of it shakes out. I mean, it feels like just yesterday it was week one, and we weren't sure what teams were going to be here in the end. But, I mean, like you said, a lot of good teams this year. It's a good thing they take 8 teams to the playoffs, or, a lot of good teams would be sitting at home. And, of course, the shock of the season, Billings West, a team that's been in it the past 14 years, they are not in the playoffs this year.
One familiar face that is in the playoffs is Capital. The Bruins are the 3-time defending state champions. They've returned just 4 starters, however, from last season's championship team. Yet here they are again, 10-0, the number 1 seed, riding a 31-game winning streak, entering their quarterfinal game on Friday against Missoula Big Sky. How have they done this?
Well, I think one of the things that gives Capital an edge is really their conditioning. Lee and Long Carter over at Capital, they've got a great weight program. They've taught those boys work ethic. They get them in the weight room in the summer every day at 5 a.m. And, I mean, that takes a lot of work. And just to be able to do that, and conditioning pays off in those close games. We saw Capital trail Helena High. We saw them trailing CMR, but then they came out and, they never tired in the fourth quarter, and that was really their quarter. And that does have an impact. And then they've got so many weapons. They've got the best offense in the AA. They've got the 3rd best defense. And you've got, Matt Miller, one of the best players in the state, capable of doing a little bit of everything. They run him out of the Wildcat. He's throwing out of the Wildcat. Catching balls, running balls. And, he averages 14.1 yards a carry, which really no one else in the state is anywhere near that. The second closest is his teammate, Braden Peterson, who's averaging 8.6 yards a carry and a rush for over 700 yards. So really, they have a lot of guys that can run the ball. And then they've got, Josh Dirks, Matt Miller catching the ball too, and Corey Sievers had a great year, his first year under center. He's one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the state, completing 70% of his passes. So they've really got a number of players who can do just about anything.
Now, Big Sky is 6-4, and they got into the playoffs with a dramatic win over Butte in Week 10. What do the Eagles have to do to pull this upset?
Well, honestly, Mark, no team's really come close to upsetting Capital this year. We saw Helena High and CMR hang with them for a while, but, Capital's one of those teams that they come out, they scored on their first drive of every game. They make teams play from behind. And, Big Sky, the way they played against Bozeman, they have the worst defense in the playoffs. They allowed over 480 yards to a Butte team that really struggled this year. So they're going to have to play a lot better than they did against Butte. They do have a great back in Glenn Marifelli. He had 3 touchdowns in that game. But really, you got to have more than one guy who can find the end zone if you want to beat the team.
So you like the Bruins on Friday?
I like the Bruins, yes.
Capital's closest game of the year came in Week 6 here at Vigilante. A come-from-behind 28-26 win over CM Russell of Great Falls. It was the Rustlers' only loss of the year. They're the number 2 seed, and they host Bozeman this week in the quarterfinals. What do you think about this Rustler team?
I really like CMR, and you heard it here first, folks. I think CMR will be one of those teams fighting for that state title. They've got the best defense in the AA, and you know what they say, defense wins championships. But not only that, they balance it out with a great offensive attack. They've got Jake Bleskin. He's the 3rd best quarterback in the league. He's thrown for over 2,200 yards this year. Then you've got guys like Gavin Hagfors who can run the ball. He has more rushing touchdowns than anybody in the league. And Bleskin's favorite target, Jordan Harper, more receiving touchdowns than anyone in the league. So really, this CMR team, they're good. You're going to have to be good to beat them. So.
Now, Bozeman with T.J. Leap and Tanner Roderick, they bring an explosive offense of their own. What can they do against this Rustler defense?
Well, aside from Capital, Bozeman's the only team that surpassed 4,000 yards of offense this season. So if ever a team was going to light up the scoreboard against CMR, it would be Bozeman. Where Bozeman struggled this year has been their defense. And against a great team like CMR, you're going to have to really hold them. And like you said, T.J. Leap, one of the best backs in the league. And, CMR is going to have to stop him. And while they do have only the 4th best rush defense, I still think they have the power to do that.
Now, Helena's the 3 seed. They are at home this Saturday against Missoula Sentinel. That was the team that Helena coach Tony Arntzen earlier this year referred to as the best in the state. Then the Bengals went to Missoula and handed it to the Spartans in Week 9. A little payback for Missoula, maybe?
Yeah, you know Sentinel's going to be looking to get a little revenge on Helena High, especially with the way they were beaten on their home field. They're going to be looking to do the same to Helena. But the thing about this Sentinel team, now, Arntzen said they're best team on paper, but the last 2 weeks against Capital and Helena, they've looked anything but the best team on the field. You know, sophomore sensation Riley King at quarterback, yeah, he started out the season solid, but in the last 2 games he's thrown 8 picks, and against a defense like Helena's, they're going to take advantage of that. You know, they've got a lot of great players, but against Helena High, they're going to have to not make mistakes. And the thing with Sentinel is they rely so heavily on the pass. They do not have much of a run game, and in a league with this much parity, you've got to be balanced. I saw Sentinel right here at this stadium against Capital throw, you know, they were 3 yards out from scoring a touchdown and threw 4 straight incomplete passes. So you got to have a little faith in your run game, especially against a team like Helena High.
Now, Helena's defense rock solid all season, a little bit overshadowing their offense, but the Bengals with Nilo Butler in the backfield and Tyler Holtz under center, they have some weapons of their own.
Definitely. I mean, having a good defense only does you so much good if your offense can't score points for you. And these guys have so many weapons too. You know, a lot of times they get overlooked by Capital, but like you said, there's Nilo Butler. He's rushed for over 800 yards. Then they've got the 1-2 punch with Ryan Wall in backfield as well. And then Tyler Holtz, you know, this is only his first year under center as well, and he's surpassed 1,000 yards and been really accurate. We've seen him improve gradually every game. So Helena's one of those teams that really has balance. The run's their bread and butter, but when they need to throw it, they can. And we also saw, you know, Tyler Holtz really throwing the ball to Adam Johnson a lot early on in the season. But one of the things we've seen these last few games is just a number of different receivers getting touches. And that's one of the things I like about this Bengals squad is their depth. You know, they suffered a lot of injuries, but they look to get a number of those guys back. So expect them to be even more dangerous in the playoffs.
So the 7-3 Bengals, the 6-4 Spartans, 1 o'clock kickoff Saturday here at Vigilante. Who do you like?
I'm taking the Bengals. It's going to be a close one, though. Like Tony Arntzen told me last week, you never want to play a good team twice, and that's exactly what this Sentinel squad is. So expect it to be a little bit closer this time around.
And the 4-5 matchup in the bracket has Billings Skyview making the long bus trip up to Kalispell to take on Glacier. Both teams were 7-3, but didn't meet one another during the regular season. How do you see that matchup?
I think this will be the best game of the day on Friday by far. I mean, we got 2 teams who, like you said, haven't met this season yet, and the first time they do, it's win it or bust. And honestly, when you look at the stat sheet, they're very evenly matched. Glacier has a slight edge on offense, with Skyview holding a little bit of the edge on defense. But one of the things Skyview does is run the ball a lot. They turn a lot to their back, Carson Hilliard. You know, when you have a great running back like that, you don't often have to throw it. But Glacier's got one of the best run defenses in the AA, the 3rd best. And so against a team like Glacier, Skyview's going to have to find a way to air it out. Quarterback Connor Lebsock hasn't had to throw the ball much, but in this game he will, and look to see him throwing it more. Like you said, you know, Skyview has to go a long way to Glacier, so you know, look to see Glacier have the advantage there. And I really do like the Wolfpack in this one, you know. I think it's amazing what they've done. This is just their 3rd year with the program, and they've got a great coach in Grady Bennett, and one of my favorite quarterbacks in Shea Smith-Wickhon, who can run the ball just as well as he can throw it. So I really do like Glacier in this one, and I think that'd be a big win for them.
Should be an exciting, delicious weekend of quarterfinal playoff action. Hope you can make it to a stadium in your neck of the woods. To keep up with the playoffs this week and throughout the month, pick up a copy of the Independent Record or log on to HelenaIR.com.